Yet the object of his devotion remains. There's no doubt you did all right bringing that man-turned-monster to heel, but you weren't able to stop him fishing his master out of a river of blood. Damn. Sorry. I never could get the hang of boosting morale. Didn't seem right to polish the edges off harsh facts. Probably why I never made captain. Still, I've been poking around here for a bit and have turned up Utula's stash. Quite the magpie he was. So here, help yourself. When it comes to hunting a god, I suppose every little bit helps. For a long time now, I thought my god's devotion should be honored, I suppose. For centuries now, the Templar have boiled the flesh and skin from the devout. I'd be lying if I said my hands were clean of slavery's blood. To be perfectly
Hello.
Arohongui, daughter of the moon, was preparing for a feast to celebrate Tsukuhama's return from his war on the first ones of the Ezamites. Tafor, son of the forest, asked each of the birds to sacrifice one of their kind for the feast. He gave these offerings to Arohongui, who cooked them in a great fire stone pit. Seeing all of those plump birds cooking made Kitava very hungry, and he offered to watch them to make sure they didn't burn while Arohongui rested during the heat of the day. Arohongui thanked Kitava for his kindness, but while she slept, Kitava ate the cooking birds, flesh, bones, gizzards and all. Upon waking, Arohongui was furious to find that Kitava had lied to her for saying that he would watch the birds when he truly intended to eat them all up. When Tukohama arrived home in his mighty canoe, Arohongui asked him to punish Kitava for his selfish gluttony. Tukohama, our father of war, agreed and pulled the sharpest tooth from his own mouth. He then asked Arohongui and Tafor to hold Kitava fast while he cut Kitava's face with the tooth. 2 slashes that blinded Kitava and formed a bleeding cross upon his face. From that day forth, Kitava would never be able to promise to watch that which he truly intended to consume. Arohongui, daughter of the moon, was preparing for a feast to celebrate Tukohama's return from his war on the first ones of the Ezamites. Tafor, son of the forest, asked each of the birds to sacrifice one of their kind for the feast. He gave these offerings to Arohongui, who cooked them in a great fire-stone pit. Seeing all of those plump birds cooking made Kitava very hungry, and he offered to watch them to make sure they didn't burn while Arohongui rested during the heat of the day. Arohongui thanked Kitava for his kindness, but while she slept, Kitava ate the cooking birds, flesh, bones, gizzards and all.
nicely, exile.
Freedom comes to those who fight.
Tukohama, our father of war, and Valakor, father of storm, took Kitava to Hinekora, mother of death. They asked her to kill the greedy Kitava, for surely their tribe would starve if Kitava continued to live among them. But Hinekora refused, for death would not teach Kitava the lesson he needed to learn. Instead, Hinekora beat Kitava with a whip woven of her own hair. To Kitava, each strand was a searing lash, and so he wore thousands and thousands of blistering lashes across his back, as Hinekora drove him relentlessly into the darkest corner of the underworld. There she left him to suffer, without water or food, for the rest of eternity. And there Kitava remained, in the darkness of Hinekora's night-clad island, for time beyond measure. There he suffered, waiting for the day that he could return to the world of light, to slake his scorching thirst and satiate his ravening hunger. To replace the feast of birds that Kitava had greedily consumed, Tukohama, our father of war, and Valakor, father of storm, went fishing. Although Kitava was blind, he could still cast his line and feel when a fish took his bait. So, Tukohama and Valakor took him with them on Tukohama's mighty canoe. But while they fished, Kitava grew hungry and secretly ate all of their bait of grubs and worms. Disgusted and angry, Tukohama and Valakor decided to use Kitava as bait instead. Valakor used his own jawbone as a hook, impaled Kitava on it, and cast both into the sea. Kitava sank to the bottom of the sea, but instead of the fish eating Kitava, it was Kitava who ate all of the fish that nibbled at him, flesh, scales, guts, and all. When Tsukuhama and Valakor hauled a fat-bellied Kitava back up from the sea, they were even more furious and knew that Kitava must be punished one final time.
Not all slaves believe Dutula's lies. Some I know have managed to steal a ship and are soon to set sail for Namakanui. Hopefully, with these treasures on board, Valakor will bless their voyage and breathe deeply into their sails. No, I'm not going with them. I helped bring this curse down upon Oriath, so I'll help save what little there is left to save. Here, take something, in thanks for your part in preserving the Karui Way. Freedom comes to those who fight.
You can ask, but you might not like the answer.
We live in interesting times, all right.
Had I the time, I could raise an endless legion from these bones. Pity. The more I feel of divinity, the more I want it.
An empire is nothing more than a standard pitched in the naked earth. The time has come for you to raise the standard upon the peak of false faith, the apex of Chitta's cathedral. Drive it deep into that sacred stone. Mark the death of a faithless empire and slay the slavering kingdom that seeks to consume it. An empire is nothing more than a standard pitched in the naked earth. The time has come for you to raise the standard upon the peak of false faith, the apex of Chitta's cathedral. Drive it deep into that sacred stone. Mark the death of a faithless empire and slay the slavering kingdom that seeks to consume it.
Freedom comes to those who fight. Hello. Freedom comes to those who fight. Yes. Yes. Greetings. Hello. Freedom comes to those who fight. Remember what Utula said about Kitava? He is the tormented one.
Yes, what is it?
I'll see what I can do for you. Devotion should be honored, I suppose.
Ravenous one, let me devour your heart.
flame of hope may flicker, but it cannot be extinguished. There is no shame in falling to a god. Shame lies only in refusing to rise again. You shall soar. That much I'm permitted to foresee. You shall ascend to the peak of your loftiest mistake, and from there you shall pluck a single surviving hope from the jaws of immortal despair. A ship sails for Lion Eye's watch not far from here. Be on it. There is no shame in falling.
I've never had to pay the price for my ambitions. Until now.
I'm Captain Lily Roth, and we sail for Rayclast. Better to live in exile than die on this psychotic bonfire of an island. You want to make it out of here? You'd better get on board. But make it quick, 'cause I ain't got time for tears and regrets. Remember, this ain't no charity run. You owe me. Cast off! All right, we're safe for the time being. Now let me introduce myself properly. Lily Roth. Yep, I'm one of those Roths. Some call me smuggler, others pirate. Yeah, I prefer the sound of nautical entrepreneur. Came up with that one myself. So you come see Lily if you need something, or even if you just fancy a good chat with a lovely lady. Don't think I'd be forgetting that favour you owe me. In fact, now I think of it, there's certainly a way you can be repaying this most considerable debt. You see, those blasted cultists have been plundering the refugee ships trying to escape Oriath. And if not for my incomparable skill as a sea captain, we'd have met the same fate. But now the drowned dead are washing ashore, and they ain't staying dead. There's been a whole lot of blood, sweat and tears getting these few lucky survivors here in one piece. What sort of captain would I be if I let them get ripped apart by walking corpses? Wipe the Twilight Strand clean of those filthy undead bastards and I'll call us even. Might even throw in a little something extra if you can pull it off. Alright, we're safe for the time being. Waylon Roth. Here, let me share something I remember from me granddaddy's stories. No sooner had the others turned in fear from the Great White Leviathan did Waylon load the ballista with his final harpoon. And right then he vowed to sea and sky that he and he alone would be the one to finally kill this bastard son of the Brine King. The ballista fired and the harpoon smote that creature right between the ribs as it made to dive back under the angry sea. Thick clouds of blood bloomed beneath the waves, roses flowering in the black water, and impossible though it seemed, the already shadowed ocean grew darker still. He used the bones of the great beast to reinforce the hull of his ship, the Black Crest. Old Rottooth, he's a true legend, a real pirate hero. I can only hope one day my own stories will reach his ears and make him proud of the granddaughter he had to leave behind. Yeah, I knew Tarkley, if you catch me drift. He's got no time for his old bunkmate these days, though. Too gaga-eyed over his lost cause of a fishwife Nessa. Time was, Tarkley and I would smuggle all about the coast of Oriath. Oh, good days they was. Sweet with rum, nothing but the wind and salt in our faces, freedom in our hearts, and the law on our tails. But I could tell he were getting ready to make feet for children's stockings with me, so I cut him loose. Not a spark's chance under the ocean the dreaded Lily Roth's gonna wind up swelling like some drowned carcass. Still, nice to work with that bugger one more time, just for old time's sake, you know? Yeah, I knew Tarkley, if you catch me drift. He's got no time for his old bunkmate these days, though. Too gaga-eyed over his lost cause of a fishwife Nessa. Time was, Tarkley and I would smuggle all about the coast of Oriath. Oh, good days they was. Sweet with rum, nothing but the wind and salt in our faces, freedom in our hearts, and the law on our tails. But I could tell he were getting ready to make feet for children's stockings with me, so I cut him loose. Not a spark's chance under the ocean the dreaded Lily Roth's gonna wind up swelling like some drowned carcass. Still, nice to work with that bugger one more time, just for old time's sake, you know? That scallywag. I reckon Bestel thinks I'd be the kind of lass who'll bed down with any sort of rascal. Not too far off, I guess. He is rather sweet, but not the most comely of figures. Actually, he kind of reminds me of my grandfather, Waylon Roth, a poet and scoundrel extraordinaire he be. Bestel's but spittle from the mouth of old Rottooth Roth. Ahem. Bust my blind cheek, said the sailor to the doxy. She sports her dairy treats afar and relishes her moxie. But a fire ship will sink the broken neath the ocean waves. Tip nutmegs a deadly token sends captains to their graves.
Despite your best efforts, Beastslayer, a splinter of hope remains. The very seed that brought my beast into existence. The Dark Ember. Never again shall it birth a life so magnificent as the beast. Yet a residue of that power still lingers. Enough to give us a fighting chance against the ravenous Kitava. How do we obtain this Dark Ember? 3 hearts were silenced. 3 hearts must sing again, one last time. In that final flickering of life, our Savior's seed shall be born. All I need are 3 fine souls with which to stoke the flames. Chevron of Umbra, Inquisitor Maligaro, Doldre the Dark Tongue. 3 spirits of near unfathomable resilience and vigor, freed with the beast's final exhalation. So let us begin the harvest. Chevron has come home to Axiom. We shall give her the warm welcome she sincerely deserves. If she is to be of any use to us, the Umbra's spirit must be wrenched from her mortal manifestation and lashed to our greater cause. That is your task. For my part, I shall negotiate the terms of her cooperation. With a tragic kiss and lasting embrace, her essence shall pass into me, as if she were a sweet breath from the mouth of my lover. It is a sacrosanct sacrifice for all involved. Thankfully for you, all I ask is that you do what you clearly do best. Kill. Ambition is the bane of mortality. It was through ambition that we gods transcended the thick mud and thin blood of our mundane birthrights. Ambition that drove us to sustain our divine selves through the subjugation of others. Chevron's soul is made up of 1 part ambition and 2 parts raw, unbounded passion. Such a volatile spark shall burn briefly and brightly, and even the most deadened of hearts. I shall put this simply, for in truth, everything comes down to the simple act of planting a seed in the ground. The gods are rising because you slew the one creature that prevented them from doing so. Your name for it is the Beast. It was I who planted the seed in the rich soil beneath Highgate, who nurtured it, who watched it bloom into maturity, even as I succumbed to its mollifying powers. We gods, we were driven into slumbering darkness, to dream away eternity whilst the gentle beast watched over us. I would desire that we return to that blissful state, but my brothers and sisters of deism shall never submit to banishment. They have tasted freedom once more, and they shall not let go of this world until it is pried from their cold, dead hands. The beast was never a cruel master. It didn't want to destroy, to corrupt, to terrorize. It simply existed to exist. I made it that way. Unfortunately, in neglecting to provide it with ambition, I made it vulnerable to the ambitions of others. Queen Atziri and Doriani, Emperor Chittus and Malachi. Others even before them. I created a beast that would free humanity from the tyranny of the gods. Yet all I really did was provide the perfect tool with which humanity could tyrannize itself. The beast was never a cruel master. It didn't want to destroy, to corrupt, to terrorize. It simply existed. Despite your best efforts, Beastslayer, a splinter of hope remains. The very seed that brought my beast into existence. The Dark Ember. Never again shall it birth a life so magnificent as the beast. Yet a residue of that power still lingers. Enough to give us a fighting chance against the ravenous Kitava. How do we obtain this Dark Ember? 3 hearts were silenced. 3 hearts must sing again, one last time. In that final flickering of life, our Savior's seed shall be born. All I need are 3 fine souls with which to stoke the flames. Chevron of Umbra, Inquisitor Maligaro, Doldry the Dark Tongue. 3 spirits of near unfathomable resilience and vigor, freed with the beast's final exhalation. So let us begin the
Alchemy and black thaumaturgy? You sure know how to lift my spirits.
Now there's a pair of eyes I could never forget. If the tales are true, those peepers of yours have seen all the wonders of Wraeclast by now, and a few things they likely wish they hadn't. Oh, and no need for us to speak of Oriath. My ears are brimful with the sorrows these wretched companions of yours have been spilling. Now, I'm sure you've noticed that Lion Eyes Watch has seen better days. Our once bubbling township has, alas, become a brooding quagmire of gloom and despair. I blame the unrelenting weather. As you know, I am both a humanitarian and a strong believer in the soul-sustaining power of story. Back when I was still captain of the Merry Gull, many days at sea afforded me time to work on my thespian aspirations. I wrote a theatrical epic, a one-man show entitled Cedric and the Buxom Stranger. I sealed the manuscript inside a roll of oiled leather and stashed it in the hold for safekeeping. Perhaps you could salvage it for me from that tidal island upon which my poor ship came to rest. Who knows? Maybe we can bring some joy back to Lion Eyes Watch with a bit of live entertainment. Now there's a pair of... Now there's a sorry tale. More miserable than any dirge I've ever heard. Nessa's gone. Wandered off into the night, muttering to herself about dancing to his ditty. No, I didn't go after her. In truth, she was gone when I woke up the next morn. I only imagined she'd be muttering, you see, on account of the murmuring she's been making these past few weeks. Always the same. About him and his song, whoever in damnation he is. Lily Roth, granddaughter of the legendary Rottooth Roth. Oh, apologies if I seem a little giddy. It's not any old day you get to meet marine royalty. I mean, you know how I feel about pirates and all, but the Roths have as much in common with those scurvy sea rats as a shark does with a goldfish. Lily has her granddaddy's blood in her veins. It's plain for all to see. Look at the luster in her eyes, the ruddy blush of her skin. That there's a pirate princess, and no mistake. Yes, we live in curious times indeed. A time when old stories are being birthed, mewling and puking into our world of dirt and blood. It's all a bit inspiring, really. Hence, I've written a little something. Ancient anecdotes now wake from their beds, looming in our fears, towering above our heads. Age-old lusts and bygone greeds, walking and reeking as humanity bleeds. Rivers of history, lakes of blood. The gods stand upon us as we cower in the mud. You won't find a sailor that doesn't whisper a quiet prayer to the Brine King before casting off. In fact, under the maddening radiance of a full moon, the more superstitious captains would drown some poor slave or failed mutineer just to keep old Tsoagoth happy. No, that wasn't a sneeze. That's the fish god's old Asmerian name. It's considered foul luck to speak it on board a ship. A keel-hauling offence. You'll not find a more renowned pirate as Waylem Rottooth Roth. In times when Fairgraves was still a whelp earning his sea legs, Rottooth was prowling the Strait of Orioth in his ship, the Black Crest. It's said he built it himself, lining its hull with the bones of some great sea beast he slew with nothing but a harpoon and a bottle of rum. Never was there a more nimble, more ferocious vessel. Like that Leviathan spirit still lived and breathed in its timbers. No one sighted Rottooth for 20 years or more, but I know where the Black Crest is. The ship graveyard, no less. Seems that Waylem Roth might have had his last meal with Lady Mervale.
Yes,